Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we will read a story about a man whose ex-wife not only cheated on him, but also ignored the court summons and then tried to frame the poster for thief. This is a two-parts story, so be sure to like and subscribe for part 2. Let's get started. Background. I was married to a woman for 15 years and ended up divorcing her because she liked to sleep with other guys. While it took me 6 years to stumble onto this fact, she worked from home, and I commuted 2 hours each way into the city. I owe it to her being either a sociopath or a narcissist or both. Why not? She could absolutely turn on and off the charm and could come up with lies staring you right in the eyes. Hindsight is 2020. Let's call her V, short for Voldemort, as one time when I was talking about her after the separation, I referred to her as she who must not be named, and the nickname stuck with all my friends and family. During the marriage, my ex and I were best friends with another couple, and for this post, we'll call them Sam and Marie. Sam was, and still is, my best friend. Marie was V's best friend. Marie had found out about V's plans to cheat on me prior to me finding out and told V that she couldn't condone infidelity and their friendship would end if V did cheat on me. Nope, Marie did not tell me, and I don't blame her for not doing so. When I finally found out, V was having a Facebook affair. If you're going to have an online affair, don't do it while married to a computer expert with some dude in California. We lived in Massachusetts. It was just 2 weeks before V was flying him out and putting him in a hotel for 3 days. I spent those 2 weeks getting a lawyer, a private investigator, and my exit strategy together. I left her the weekend after their hotel stay. She would spend the days with him and come home in the afternoon or evening without a shred of guilt showing. The PI had gotten pictures and video of them leaving the hotel, eating lunch together, and heading back to the hotel. I first stayed at Sam and Marie's in their basement apartment, eventually moving to a small apartment back in the town where V lived. Fast forward 9 months, and I'm divorced from V. Why it was so short to divorce is another tale worthy of this subreddit. We had one daughter, let's call her Rebecca. She was 13 at the time. Between us still at home, we were trying shared custody and lived about a quarter of a mile apart. There are other kids from the marriage, but they were living apart from us at the time and don't play a part in this part of the whole story. We had acquired a lake house during the marriage and had it listed to sell. We had it written into the divorce agreement to split the proceeds, but paying half the mortgage on that and the rent on my apartment was really stretching me thin financially. One day, Marie emails me, subject line in all caps. V just tried to get me fired. Long story short, V emailed Marie's boss claiming that Marie was gossiping about V on sales calls to customers. But her boss knew it was BS and told V as much. Wisely, Marie didn't mess around, waiting to see what was next. She went to the local courthouse that day and filed for an anti-harassment order against V. It took several visits to the judge, as we chose to ignore multiple summons to court so that the judge could hear her side of the story. Eventually, the judge granted the order because V never showed up to court. During this time, V called 911 on me multiple times. One time claiming I put a letter bomb in her mailbox, and 2 other times I had entered her apartment without her permission. The letter bomb accusation was due to me posting a link to shipyourенemiesglitter.com on Facebook months before and subsequently mailing her a thick bundle of forms to sign. Police were called, and I had to go to V's apartment and open the letter in front of the police. Needless to say, there was no glitter, let alone a bomb. Oddly enough, this accusation came just days after there had been an actual bomb threat called into the town hall. Funny that the 2 times I had gone into her apartment had both been to drop off Rebecca's book bag when she had forgotten it at my apartment. Both times I had texts from V granting me permission to open the door and put the book bag just inside. She would then text me after I had done so, trying to revoke permission. To this day, I think V thinks that if she deletes a message on her end, the message is deleted on my end. Even though kids will be kids and Rebecca did forget her book bag at my place on at least one other subsequent occasion, I did not fall for these rules a 3rd time. All forgotten book bags were delivered by Rebecca and me, meeting halfway between the apartments. Also included with the multiple 911 calls were multiple minor child wellness checks on evenings when I had Rebecca at my apartment. It's so much fun having to explain to your child why the police are showing up at 8 p.m. at night to check to see if she's okay. Basically, V was trying to get me frustrated and react badly throughout this whole mess. Sam and Marie have been lifesavers to me and Rebecca, hosting and cooking weekly family dinners for us. They are Rebecca's godparents and just being absolute rock steady in their support and tolerance of the situation. Around this time, we filed for sole custody at the strong urging of my lawyer. I insisted on a guardian ad litem, GL, being appointed to represent Rebecca's best interest. Her being a minor child, of course, the parents must pay the fees of the gal. At this point, my finances are really getting worrisome. So I read an email to V saying we need to drop the price of the lake house and get that sold regardless of profit. I needed that albatross off from around my neck so I could continue to afford to live where I could co-parent Rebecca as well as fight the custody battle. So there I am, going deeper into debt, can't pay rent and mortgage long term, and V is starting another court battle for full custody. With no other choice, I've moved back in with Sam and Marie so I can continue to pay my lawyer and keep fighting. About a week after I'm settled back in with Sam and Marie, I hear from Rebecca that the glass patio table was smashed the previous night. I was in New Hampshire that evening with witnesses, so it couldn't have been me. I was paying for Rebecca's cell phone, and we have Life 360, so we could know where each other was at any time due to an earlier threat by V to take the two youngest kids and move to California to be with the idiot from Facebook. Plus, it had history, so I could at least prove my phone was in New Hampshire. Rebecca says she knows I was in New Hampshire and tells me she'll tell her mother it wasn't me. The next day, I was served with a restraining order, claiming that I had vandalized V's patio furniture and that she still felt afraid due to the letter bomb incident. The cops knew it was BS, but the judge had no knowledge of the incident when V filed the restraining order and had to take her at her word. The restraining order was for 10 days, and then I could show up in court and contest it being continued. The officer who served the restraining order explained that he had to confiscate any firearms and licenses, while I did have a recently acquired Class A concealed carry license. Actually, from a couple's firearms course that was an anniversary gift from V the previous year, I hadn't any firearms other than a BB gun of Rebecca's. The officer left with just the Class A license, smiling as he said he was pretty sure I was going to go on a rampage with a BB gun. The first thing I did the next day was to go to the police station and request all incident reports that involved me since I left her. I knew of 7 incidents, but the desk sergeant informed me they had 19 incident reports from V. He talked to me a bit, clearly trying to get a feel for what kind of person I was and just what was going on. We parted company with him, assuring me that the patrol officers would now know what was going on, and the police department would do right by me so long as I kept my cool. Fair enough. 2 nights before the court appearance to contest the restraining order, Sam, Marie, and I are sitting on their porch, drinking some beer and brainstorming about what I'm going to say to the judge. I'm a bit discouraged because I know it's going to be a he said, she said situation, and I'm living in Massachusetts. If your chromosomes don't match, then you're a second-class citizen when it comes to parental rights in Massachusetts. Plus, V deserves an Oscar for how well she plays the victim. It wasn't looking good. My only hope was if we decided the restraining order itself was enough to make me look bad to the gal and not show up and let the restraining order expire. Marie suddenly said, "Hey, let me see that restraining order." I handed it over to her. "Hey, this is my judge. She's the judge that granted me the anti-harassment order against V." "You're kidding," I said. Sam and I looked at each other in amazement. "I swear it is. Let me go get it." Marie goes inside and comes back a few minutes later with her court order. Sure enough, it's the same judge. My grin felt like it was going to split my lips. Now I knew exactly what to do. The court date to contest the restraining order arrived, and I'm there. First thing, just me. No lawyer because he had to appear in court elsewhere. I strongly hoped that V wouldn't show up, but she did with someone other than her divorce lawyer. Before court was in session, her new lawyer approached me and offered to let the no-contact order lapse, but wanted a do-not-abuse order left in place. I politely declined her offer, stating I'd done nothing to warrant either order and that I wanted the judge to hear my argument. V's lawyer was taken aback by this a bit and then shrugged as if to say, "It's your funeral," and walked back to where V was sitting. We went in front of the judge and V told her side of the story. I started telling mine, introducing all the incident reports from the police department, but V and her lawyer didn't have copies of all of them. So the judge sent us back to the gallery to await second call while V and her lawyer reviewed the reports. When we were called back, the judge started to go into the content of the police reports, and I stated that the content was almost irrelevant, but she insisted on going through them. During that, we emphasized the two incidents where I briefly entered V's apartment with her permission, but she characterized them as me doing so without her permission. I said that if necessary, I would be able to provide the communications where she gave me permission, but I didn't have them with me today. When going through the first police report from the night I found out about the online affair, wherein V claimed I had brain lesions, V also tried to characterize me as having multiple personality disorder, as told to her by our shared primary care physician. The judge asked her with no little incredulity, "His doctor told you this without his permission?" "Yes, Your Honor," she said. The judge looked at me, puzzled. I shrugged and said, while slowly shaking my head in disbelief, "I have a very close relationship with my doctor, and I highly doubt he would violate HIPAA." She looked a little nonplussed, but I think she got the message that V wasn't being entirely truthful. As that was the last police report to go, I reminded her that my point wasn't the content, but that I thought V was using the courts to harass and intimidate me and to make me look bad to the gal. I brought up that this isn't out of character for V, as she has an anti-harassment order in place against her put there by Your Honor. Your Honor, the judge blinked at that bit of info. I gave her the details and reminded her that V declined to show up at the multiple hearings. As I recounted the particulars of Marie's story, the judge squinted her eyes more and more, and her frown got deeper and deeper. She turned to V, and her voice was slow, cold fury. "Do you have an anti-harassment order in place against you?" This voice was so small and weak. "Yes, Your Honor." I so wanted to look at V's face to see her reaction, but I kept my eyes locked on the judge. The judge pointed at V. "Why didn't you show up to the hearings?" A pause as she struggled to find some excuse. "Because I didn't want to associate with that." But the judge waved her to silence. I think that was the turning point, as I think she was going to grant the request for the do not abuse, but she turned to me and said sternly, "I think there's a bit of this going on both sides, but clearly she wants you to stay out of her apartment." "Never again, Your Honor," I replied. "Restraining order terminated," said the judge, and with the bang of her gavel, we were done. Because the restraining order was terminated, legally that meant it never happened. I got my Class A concealed carry license back the next day and ultimately won the custody battle, a large part of which was the termination of the RO, but also due to the subsequent increasingly poor emotional and verbal treatment of Rebecca. And that's the end of part 1 of this story. What do you guys think about the situation so far? What would you do if you were in the poster's shoes? Let me know in the comments section below. And I will see you guys on the next video.